Hello, fellow horror fiends, and welcome to The Horror Within Me, a podcast dedicated to the world of horror. Join us each week as our host explores a new, horrifying topic from the many realms of horror, such as film, television, and more, and returns to tell us his terrifying revelations. So sit back, relax, and get ready to face the horrors within.
Hi, and welcome back to another episode of The Horror Within Me. I'm your host, Eric, and it's time for another Spooky Sunday, guys. This week's episode, we're going to be discussing the new Netflix series, Wednesday, which aired on November 23rd. I'm so excited about this week's episode. I have so much fun stuff to talk about with it. We're going to be talking about some frightfully fun facts that are involved with it, some references that I caught from other works of Tim Burton and the Addams family, some pros, some cons. We have a terrifying trivia. We've got it all this week. So if you're a fan of the show, or if you haven't seen the show and you're listening or watching to get a recommendation, whether to watch it or not, stick around. I've got a lot going on, so I'm very excited. So we're going to jump right in. We're not going to waste a lot of time. So where's it at? It's on Netflix. And the synopsis is as follows. It follows Wednesday Addams' years as a student when she attempts to master her emerging psychic ability, thwart and solve the mystery that embroiled her parents. The IMDb rating is an 8.4 out of 10. And let's go down the list of starring characters and who they are in the show really quickly. Stars Jenna Ortega as the titular character. Let's just say the main character. I tried it and it didn't work. Of Wednesday Addams. Gwendolyn Christie as Larissa Weems, the principal at Nevermore Academy. Ricky Lindholm as Dr. Valerie Kinbot, Wednesday's therapist. Jamie McShane as Sheriff Donovan Galpin. Hunter Duhan as Tyler Galpin, local barista and son of the sheriff. Percy Hines White as Xavier Thorpe, a student at Nevermore with the ability to make his art come to life. Emma Myers as Enid Sinclair, Wednesday's roommate and who is also a werewolf. Joy Sunday as Bianca Barkley, who is the most popular girl at Nevermore and a siren. And Christina Ricci as Marilyn Thornhill, a botany teacher at Nevermore and the dorm mom of Wednesday and Enid. She's a quote-unquote normal person. And Musa Mustafa as Eugene Ottinger, a student with the power to control bees. And then we have our guest stars who are Catherine Zeta-Jones as Morticia Addams, Louis Guzman as Gomez Addams, Isaac Ordonez as Pugsley Addams, George Bercia as Lurch, and Fred Armisen as Uncle Fester. And it's executively produced by Tim Burton. All right, let's talk Wednesday. How would I explain Wednesday to someone who has never seen it? I'm asking myself interview questions. Are you guys listening? All right, no. If you've never seen Wednesday, I would describe it as a detective whodunit show meets teen drama meets Monster High. Do you know what Monster High is? Monster High, it makes me think of my niece who's 13. Loved Monster High. She's into the weird shit like me, like the horror stuff. So, obviously when Monster High was actually like those dolls. They were like Barbie monsters. But super cool. Nevermore Academy in the show is where Wednesday goes to school after an incident at a normal person school where she's expelled. This is going to be spoiler-free, by the way. As much spoiler-free as possible. Like if they talk about stuff, I have to talk about parts of the show, but it's not going to be plots that change anything about the show. So I lost my train of thought. Anyway, the series is like a detective show. There's 8 episodes, they're about an hour long, and it's a Tim Burton piece of art for the Addams family. So how else do you want me to describe it to you? It's got those pieces of Tim Burton, it's got those pieces of Addams family, and then it's got pieces of its own. And we're going to talk about all the stuff that I caught because I thought it was super fun. So there's 8 episodes. Like I said, they're about an hour long. Here's a fun fact, right? The show was released or aired on November 23rd, I believe I said. Is that what it was? Let's see. Yes. So Wednesday broke the record for the most hours viewed in a week for an English language Netflix series with a total of 341.2 million hours watched in its first week. of release, and it knocked out Stranger Things season 4 from that number 1 spot. Do you guys remember the fucking phenomenon that was Stranger Things season 4? I even did like a Stranger Things season 5 episode of where we were gonna do like fan theories, but like the iconic fucking running up that hill song that broke number 1 after this, like Max and everything about Stranger Things season 4 hit through the roof. And Wednesday came in and knocked it out of its title. So that speaks volumes for the show itself. Take what you will with that. Agree with it or don't agree with it. Another thing that I thought was super cool was that they brought back Christina Ricci, who played Wednesday in the 1990 movies of the Addams Family and the Addams Family Values. That's what I was first introduced with the Addams Family to. I loved those movies. But also, I think I mentioned in a previous podcast how I was terrified of the original Addams Family movie, the first one, Raul Julia's Gomez laughing maniacally when they went down the slide. I don't know why that sticks in my head, but it fucking terrified me. But I grew to love them. And then there was like an animated television series of the Addams Family where Wednesday, whenever they put music on, she'd have to dance. Like, I just love the Addams Family, like the new animated series. And I was so excited to see what this was going to be because it wasn't the Addams Family. It was Wednesday. So right away when I saw it, I'm like, okay, this is going to be something different. It's Tim Burton, and it's Tim Burton's take on Wednesday in the world of her. So obviously the Addams Family is a part of that. Her family's a part of it. But it was going to focus on that character, not the family unit as all the other pieces of work have. And then they announced the cast. And they announced Jenna Ortega as the lead role. And so I have to be honest, I had only seen her in the last Scream entry as the girl Tara. Spoiler alert for if you haven't seen Scream, skip past this part. She played Tara, and she was the girl in the beginning that we watched get butchered and murdered to start the whole series of the movie again. But plot twist, she survives the entire fucking movie. But throughout the entire movie, she's still hunted and stalked, and all she does is scream and cry. And that fucking character annoyed me. It was so much screaming and crying all the time. All the fucking time. To the point where I'm like, she's a part of this. She's a killer. I'm waiting for the big reveal. I'm waiting for the crying, and then I'm waiting for the snapping the eyes to change and like reveal that she was the one that killing everyone and not, there was a third killer and it's her. And it never happened. And I'm like, there's no way that the two people that came up with this, the two killers that were in this movie, they were the dumbest two killers. And I mean that exactly how it sounds. They were the dumbest two killers. They didn't have the fucking mindset to plan, especially take out a fucking legacy character. It just made no sense. I read in an article that she also is excited to not just scream and cry. So I'm so excited that she also didn't like that about her character. And I'm also still thinking she's a part of it. I'm waiting for the reveal in Scream 6. And Neve Campbell's not in it, but I'm only going to see if Tara's a part of this still. That's it. That's the only reason I'm going. And obviously, I like Kirby. But anyway, let's get back to Wednesday. Jenna Ortega, hat off. You've gained a fan. I fucking love you. Followed her on TikTok now. So talented. She's going to do great things in this world and portray great characters, and she is committed to her craft. And I don't say that lightly. I know I like a lot of things, and I say a lot of things are my favorite, but she did the damn thing. And I'm going to go and see other things that she's been in and I can't wait to see all that she does. Very excited. So great job. I'm sorry that I judged you off of Tara only. Not that, so I guess you did what you were supposed to do for that character too. So moving forward, let's talk about things within this world of Wednesday that I thought were directly related to other references of Tim Burton work as well as Addams Family. All right. So first thing that I noticed, and other people on the internet have noticed because I've read this about it, was that the Nevermore uniform looks like Beetlejuice outfit in different colors. And the Beetlejuice outfit, if you don't remember, like his main suit is like the black and white thick stripes. And so the coats from Nevermore were like purple and black striped. And I was like, That's definitely a Beetlejuice reference. Second Beetlejuice reference was the monster on Wednesday looked like the Beetlejuice snake. The Beetlejuice snake is when, after the Maitlands try to scare the Deets out of their house with the shrimp hand after the iconic Dale, whatever. I don't know why I did it. And then he turns into a snake and he's causing fucking chaos and havoc and all that stuff. Very similar. I read this online. I actually didn't catch that, but after looking at the picture side by side, I was like, I could see it. I could see an inspiration behind the monster, which brought me to the next theory of, were we specifically dropping hints of Beetlejuice to remind us of Beetlejuice because there's stuff coming. Now, I know there's been a lot of talk of Beetlejuice 2. And I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't fucking know what's true and what's not anymore. I just don't know. You're stressing me out. Stop stressing me out. I need a fucking official Tim Burton. I thought there was. I don't know. Guys, is it happening? Is it not happening? I'm going to breathe for a second. I've seen so many different things. I would love for it to happen. I love the Maitlands. They just can't be in it. They just can't. Unfortunately, the actors have aged over 30 years and the Maitlands are dead. They're dead. There's no way they age. So it would have to be they left, Lydia in a different house. Maybe bring back Catherine O'Hara as a guest starring role. I don't know. You could bring back Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice because the makeup and stuff we could do enough with him. But the Maitlands got to stay. Is it happening? We don't know. But I think it's so cool that Tim Burton has dropped these several hints that people are seeing. Or are we just seeing what we want to see? I don't know. Moving on. There's a place in Jericho, the town of Jericho, where Nevermore is, that has a thing called Pilgrim World. Now, if you're watching me, you see my fucking face. And if you're just listening, I want you to imagine I'm rolling my fucking eyes because it's so on the fucking nose that I know I'm not wrong. I don't care what you say. I'm not fucking wrong. Pilgrim World is a direct reference to Addams Family Values and the Thanksgiving play. If you remember, if you've seen the Addams Family Values movie, which is like one of the sequels that I think were better than the original movie with Debbie. Oh, don't get me on Debbie. Debbie. Love her. Love Joan Cusack. It's iconic. But Wednesday gets sent to summer camp with Pugsley. Because of Debbie and Uncle Fester, she's got this whole plot point. At the end of summer camp, they decide that they're going to do the first Thanksgiving play. And they cast Wednesday as the lead opposite of the girl Amanda, the blonde hair, who played Harmony and Buffy. They to do the first Thanksgiving, Pocahontas and Sarah Miller. It's like stark opposites, Wednesday and Sarah. So it's too specific to have a Pilgrim World in the world of Wednesday and it not be in reference to that. It just, I'm going to take it down. That's it. I thought that was fucking awesome. Just awesome. And I randomly always have the fucking Turkey Day song from that movie randomly playing and I'll sing it to the goddamn animals. I'll be like, happy, happy Turkey Day. I don't remember the rest of it. That's all I'll sing. But anyway, has to be related. Has to be. Moving on. The structure of Nevermore Academy looks very similar to the structure of the Addams Family house, which we don't get in the show because the show's setting is at Nevermore and not the family home. I think we get a small background flashback of the house when Wednesday's outside as a kid in one of the episodes. But other than that, we're never in the house really like that. Like there's little flashes, but it's not what we're used to. And it's such an iconic setting, right? So I feel like if you look at Nevermore, it's got like I don't know the proper terms. I'm not an architect, but it's got like the thing with the spikes around it. I don't fucking know. Times 10, it turns into a school. Looks like the Addams Family house as a school. I thought that was pretty cool. And the last thing that I noticed, which is this, I don't think it's a spoiler, but in the show, Wednesday finds that there's a secret society. I don't remember what it's called. But Nevermore Academy, if you haven't caught on yet, is related to Edgar Allan Poe, Nevermore. who is my favorite poet. I loved him growing up. I have that Michaels thing, if you've seen on TikTok last season for Halloween, the past Halloween season, where he's like on the books that say Nevermore and it's like a statue head thing. I have it. I used to think that I was cursed, like Edgar Allan Poe, to lose everyone I love because of the trauma and loss of my everything in my life. Like every time something good is happening, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I should probably go to therapy, but I'd rather just sit here and talk to all of you and talk about escaping into these macabre worlds. Spooky, spooky. Yay. Yeah, so in Wednesday, there's a statue of Edgar Allan Poe. And he's holding like a book or something, and it's like clues. So she's trying to figure out the clues. So at the end, she figures it out, and the last thing she has to do is snap. And I was like, that's so cool. So everyone should know the theme song to the Addams Family. So it's like dun-dun-dun-dun, dun-dun-dun-dun. And that is amazing that they found a way to put it in the show without forcing it and making it not make sense. And it made perfect sense in this world. I loved how smooth a process that was to get that in there. And those are the things that I found in reference to other Tim Burton or Addams Family pieces of work. I thought that was so fucking awesome. If I missed any, or if you don't agree with any, let me know on the Heart Within Me podcast page, because I'm dying to know if anyone found more than that. And I didn't look on the internet to see if they did, or if I was correct, because I don't want to break my own heart. I want to move on and talk about TikTok. And you already know where I'm going with this. Most of you should already know where I'm going with this. There's an iconic dance scene in episode 4 where I read Jenna Ortega choreographed the whole thing. She said she was going to choreograph the whole thing and forgot, and had stayed up for 2 days learning this dance that she came up with to create this dance. But in the show, Wednesday goes to this dance, and she does this dance to a song called The Goo Goo Muck by the Cramps. And I don't know who started this on TikTok, but somebody redid the dance on TikTok, and it went fucking viral. Like, it's still happening. It's still happening. What's funny is that it went viral with the wrong song. Like, somebody, instead of using Google Muck, did a version of Lady Gaga's Bloody Mary, which I had never heard. And I'm a big Gaga fan, but I didn't listen to every song on the album, of all the albums. But I like the song. I listened to it afterwards, and it's pretty cool. And I like the TikTok version. It's pretty cool. But I like that people are also doing the Google Muck and actually doing it to it. And it's so wild. Like even yesterday, I saw one of a weatherman who's like reporting the weather, and he's like walking, boom, 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 like, as he walks from his desk over to the green screen to talk about the weather. It's like, I want fucking Adam Joseph or Hurricane Schwartz in the Philadelphia area to do that for me. Can we see this happen? Let's go, guys. My husband is even like, go ahead, you need to do the Wednesday dance. I'm like, I'm not fucking doing the Wednesday dance. And let me explain to you why. Let me tell you why. It's not because I can't dance. Because, I mean, I'm going to sound really cocky here, but those of you who listen that actually know me in real life, I can dance. And it's not that you need a lot of rhythm to know how to do this dance. You don't. But I'm just not doing it because it's not the content that I put out there. I don't have dance challenges on my TikToks. I don't do that. That's not what I do. And I don't put things out there to just gain views and followers. Like, I put out things that I am passionate to talk about. I want to share my inner things with. Same thing with the podcast. I've said it time and time again. I've always been a person to do things in my own way on my own time. Not because a bunch of other people are doing it. I do what I want because it's interesting to me. So I didn't do the TikTok dance, and please don't challenge me to, because I probably will feel guilty and feel like I need to. And I don't want to. But it went viral, and it was like think about like when Stranger Things season 4, we were talking about like with that Running Up the Hill song that broke records, like the power that social media has. I'm going to take it back to the 90s or whatever, like, with great power comes great responsibility. Social media has the power to make or break societies, man, or just change things. But I love when stupid things like this, I go on my TikTok to see stupid things like this instead of all the hate and the debates all the time, because I mean, I get sucked into it, and I'm very vocal, and I don't care if I lose people for my opinions. Obviously, I'm a gay man, and I don't agree with a lot of the real big conservative views to take away the rights and things like that. So I do see that a lot, and I also see a lot of content from other horror creators on TikTok that I am so inspired by. I love them. I love to see the support for me, and I love to give that support back, and I love to see that too. But then I also like to see just crazy stupid things, like, take your mind off of the horrors of the world, right? But TikTok is amazing. I love TikTok. And I used to be so against it. But anyway, another thing that I noticed in the show, I'm looking at my notes as well, is that every title in every episode had the word woe in it, like WOE, which means great sorrow or distress. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. No, I knew woe was like weird, but I didn't know like specific definition. I definitely looked this up. And I was like, because I have like, this is not a coincidence. Like, this is a reason. Like, this is an Easter egg. This is something we're supposed to inquire about. We're supposed to want to know why it's always there. So I'm like, I'm going to look it up. Here's what I found. That is a direct reference to a poem called Monday's Child, which is the poem that was inspired to name the character Wednesday. That's where the Wednesday's name came from. So I'm like, okay, so what's the poem? And it's like, goes something like, Monday's child blank blank, Tuesday's child blank blank. But the line Wednesday, when it gets to Wednesday, it says Wednesday's child is full of woe. And I was like, oh, that's so fucking cool. I love the attention to everything is done deliberately, which takes me back to Pilgrim World and the structure of Nevermore and everything else that I mentioned. Tim Burton and his team and the creators, everyone involved, really paid attention to everything. So it's not, if you think it's involved in something else and you have a reminder of something else, I honestly believe that's what it is. And I'm going to just stick to that. I'm going to stick to that because I feel like that's what it is. If you went that far, everything else that we're noticing has to be involved, right? Like we can't just think that we didn't just make it up. And I think that that's so cool that they put so much attention to it. So that's going to take me to the next point of the episode, which we're going to do what we always do, but we're going to do it a little bit differently. So we're going to do this week's terrifying trivia question, but instead of waiting and doing it at the beginning, I'm going to do it now, and I'm going to answer it now. Because I think that it's got a part of what I was just discussing with the creation. So this week's terrifying trivia question is as follows. Who created the Addams family? It's a simple question. It's a simple answer. Do you know? I'm going to pause. Pause and count to 3 in your head. Ready? All right. The answer to the answer to terrifying trivia is Charles Addams is who created the Addams family. And now Charles Addams was an American cartoonist who created the Addams family, and they first appeared in like a comic strip in the New Yorker back in 1938. We are still getting new content of this family today. Let's take a moment and think about that. And it makes me want to touch on something because it's one of the topics that I see discussed where like, stop doing the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, I feel lucky to be involved. I feel lucky to be alive during this part of history in the world, like these years, right? Because things from my childhood and my parents' childhood, characters that were created before they were born, are still being reintroduced to new generations today in new ways. And I think that's amazing. I think we still need new stories and new characters and all of that for fresh pieces of work. But I think it's awesome to keep things like the nostalgia stuff alive. It's so powerful. And that's why it takes me like to think of like the Halloween ends and Halloween, trilogy. Say what you want about it. I was excited to get a new fucking Halloween movie every year for the last few years, almost every year, because it was so fucking exciting to know that they were coming. to know that Laurie Strode was still here, to know it was still Jamie Lee Curtis, to get new stories involved in these worlds and new timelines. Whether you thought they were good or not, it was a whole new timeline, and you like the other timeline better, that's fine. But I love that we still get them because we have no idea if there's ever going to be another one. And we got to keep witnessing things like that, which is so fucking cool, and I love it. But let's get on to the pros and cons of Wednesday. Let's get into this part now. So I'm going to read my list, and I'm going to touch on little parts after. Ugh, I'm congested again, guys. Give me some suggestions to help with these sinuses. Anyway, pros. Great storyline. Has that Tim Burton atmosphere. Great acting. Stunning visuals. Incorporates what we love about Wednesday and builds her character more. And includes a diverse cast, but features the LGBTQIA plus characters of the moms of Eugene. All right. Let's start up top. Tim Burton atmosphere. Abso-fucking-lutely. There's certain things we expect from Tim Burton work, and Wednesday didn't disappoint. Incorporates what we love about Wednesday and builds her character more. I think that we have this version of Wednesday from back in the 90s that we liked. And I think that the actor Jenna Ortega took things that we liked about it, but also made it her own version. And I like that. I love that. It was so well done. Also, like back in the original show, the cartoons and the 90s movies, the oldest we've seen Wednesday was like 13. Whereas in this show, she's like 16, 17. So it's a whole different stage of her life. So it's really got to see her in a time that we had never seen her. What made it, I think, a little bit easier for us to digest because she gave us what, in my opinion, the mannerisms of Wednesday and elevated them in her own way to what she would be like as a teenager, almost an adult. So very well done. And the last thing I want to say, which was including the moms for Eugene, this was a huge pro for me. As a gay man, I love to see any inclusion. That's just who I am. I like it. But the way that they did it specifically, and maybe it's just me that had such a big impact on, but it was introduced seamlessly. It was introduced so nonchalant. Like, it's a scene where, like, I don't want to get too much into it, but, like, his moms have to show up. And they're like, these are Eugene's moms. They're like, oh, hi, how are you? And then, like, that's it. Just like, these are Wednesday's parents. Okay, hi, how are you? Like, it was so fucking, all right, don't get me wrong. I think it's important that when we have representation that we can, show representation of, like, the bad things that we, discrimination that we are faced against. Because I get discriminated on a daily basis. Whether I hear it or I don't. I know there are people who don't want the best for me. Even people in my life who say that they love me, don't fully mean it because they have views that discriminate against me. So I understand what discrimination is. I understand the importance of showing the world a better way of introducing my community. But what I liked about Wednesday is that it was simple. It didn't show that. It wasn't overly stressed. Like, oh, good for him or good for them. It was, these are Eugene's moms, and then move forward. They were written into that just as any other set of parents were written into that, and nobody batted an eye. No one blinked, nothing. I thought that was so important, and we need to see that more. It's just as normal as anything else. We don't need to put too much emphasis on it. Just show us. I like it. People need it to feel normal, just like everyone else. So, well done. Let's move on to the cons. I have two cons, but they're the one is really big. So let's do the one that's not so big. One of the cons that I thought about popped in my head. I like to write my notes after watching content to be very fresh and raw and not have a lot of time to dwell. So I wrote, stories sometimes felt like it was trying too hard to throw us off. it's a whodunit. So, they have to try and throw us off the track. And I felt that sometimes it put a person of interest in front of us that was like too obvious, like they were trying too hard. And I was like, they didn't have to do that. It was doing well without it. Excuse me. I had to clear my throat because this next one's a big one for me. The chemistry between Gomez and Morticia was missing. I was very underwhelmed and disappointed with the characters of Gomez and Morticia. People were upset at the casting of Gomez because of the way he looked, and I thought that was very rude. I don't care about how they look, but Gomez and Morticia have an iconic and disgusting, and when I mean disgusting, love for each other. It's one of those things you're like, oh my God, get off each other. But they cannot exist without each other. They cannot keep their hands off each other. Their love is so you're jealous and nauseous at the same time. And that was missing for me. Those characters, they didn't do it for me. Even the younger versions, they were there, but it was the spark. They didn't do it. And I'm so sorry. Catherine Zeta-Jones, Louis Guzman, you're good in your crafts, but you were missing for me. And I'm so happy this was a Wednesday show and not an Addams Family show, because if they were in every episode, I just wouldn't have liked it, I don't think. It just was missing for me. When they were in the episodes they were in, I was excited that their characters were there, but I also was excited for them to get off screen because they just weren't doing it for me. But those are my pros and cons of the show. So let's get to the rating system. Rating system, we're going to do hands. How many hands we give it? Hands because of Thing. Thing was amazing. Quick shout out, Uncle Fester. Fucking weirdest Uncle Fester, but liked him. Liked him a lot. Bugsy was cute too. Anyway, I rate the show Wednesday 9 out of 10 hands. It was so fucking good. I watched the first 5 episodes with my husband in one night, and then we had to go to bed because it was fucking late. And then he came home from work the next day, knocked out his homework quickly just so we can finish the last 3 episodes. And it's funny because we started it on a Wednesday and ended it on Thursday, but it just sucks you in, and it's over so fast. And I highly, highly recommend going and watching it on Netflix. Knock it out in a weekend. I wrote this as my takeaway. All in all, Wednesday is successful in creating another beautifully dark Tim Burton world that still honors the character and the world of the Addams Family we know and love. That's my honest opinion. And I tried to look up to see if there were any updated information on a season 2, which I still haven't seen. Hopefully there's a season 2. I would love for there to be a season 2. They ended the season on a way that they can continue storylines and introduce new ones. So if whoever was involved wants to return, I don't see them not getting the green light to move forward. So let's get a season 2 of Wednesday. But that is it for this week's episode of The Horror Within Me. Go on over to the Horror Within Me Facebook page. Go to the Horror Within Me podcast group. Join the group. We not only talk about the episode, but we talk about everything in the horror community. Share what you're watching. Get recommendations. Give us your ratings. Let's communicate. That's how we bond. And the Facebook page itself is more updates on what I'm doing over here for the show itself. Same thing with the Instagram. TikTok is super fun content, clips from the episodes, but also other things that I rate and things like mini reviews, stuff like that, and fun little things. And also this is on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello, thank you for watching. If you are just listening, thank you for listening. But you can also, if you want to watch it on YouTube, go over to the YouTube page, The Horror Within Me. And that's it. That's this week's episode. Please like, rate, review, subscribe, do all the stuff that, people say we're supposed to say and tell you to do. But honestly, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here with me. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your spooky Sunday or whatever day you are listening to or watching this episode. Stay safe, my friends. But more importantly, stay spooky.